Have you ever paused, really paused to wonder what happens to your desire for intimacy as you grow older? Does it quietly vanish like childhood dreams, like the memory of your first dance, or the thrill of a summer romance? Many people believe that sex past a certain age becomes irrelevant. They assume that by your 60s, 70s, or even 80s, intimacy is supposed to fade naturally, like the color in old photographs, or the echo of distant laughter. But here's a truth no one tells you: stepping away from physical intimacy as you age could be silently stealing your vitality, your health, happiness, and yes, even your years on this earth. As a doctor who spent decades walking beside aging patients, I can confidently say this: sex is not a youthful luxury. It's a powerful form of self-care in your golden years. A lifeline, not a leftover. The subtle signs you're missing something vital. You might not notice it all at once. Maybe you feel a bit more sluggish in the morning. Your knees creak more than they used to. Climbing a single flight of stairs leaves your heart pounding. Or your mind feels foggy and you walk into a room only to forget why. Then the emotional changes begin to settle in. You feel a touch more invisible in your own home, a little more distant from your partner. Less seen, less heard, more alone. We often write this off as just aging. But what if it's not? What if it's the subtle creeping result of a life where physical intimacy has quietly been put on pause? Before we go any further, take a moment to subscribe and hit the notification bell so you never miss another health insight crafted just for you. If you find this video valuable, drop a 1 in the comments. If it didn't quite resonate, type 0 to let me know how I can improve for you. Now let's explore 4 deeply overlooked but critical ways that giving up on sex after 60 may be affecting you more than you think. 1. Your heart health suffers. You may be surprised to hear this, but your physical heart, not just your emotions, thrives on more than pills and clean eating. Yes, you read that right. Regular sexual activity, even well into your 60s, 70s, and beyond, acts much like a gentle cardio workout. It increases blood circulation, helps regulate blood pressure, and keeps your arteries flexible, qualities essential to preventing cardiovascular disease. In fact, scientific studies consistently show that seniors who stay sexually active tend to experience fewer heart-related complications. Why? Because intimacy helps regulate stress, encourages physical movement, and nurtures emotional well-being, all of which benefit the heart. And here's the key: it's not about the intensity or frequency of the act. It's about consistency and connection. When intimacy fades, your body quietly loses one of its most natural ways to stay vital. Without that rhythm of physical affection, the heart becomes more vulnerable to inflammation, stress, and even chronic disease. Imagine skipping your daily walk or refusing your prescribed medication. Letting go of sexual health can have equally serious consequences. Most seniors don't realize this. The heart responds to touch, closeness, and affection just as positively as it does to exercise. That warm hug, that soft kiss, that moment of connection, it's not just good for the soul, it's life support for your cardiovascular system. So if you think your sex life no longer matters, think again. It could be the secret weapon your heart has been quietly waiting for. 2. Your muscles and joints. Lose vitality. Let's shift focus for a moment. When you imagine staying strong and agile in older age, what do you picture? Dumbbells, treadmills, brisk walks at sunrise. Here's what most people miss: one of the most enjoyable and underestimated forms of movement that keeps your muscles and joints youthful: sexual activity. Yes, intimacy naturally engages multiple muscle groups. It involves stretching, balance, coordinated movement, and the kind of flexibility exercises you'd pay a physical therapist to prescribe. For seniors, this kind of movement can be incredibly beneficial, both physically and emotionally. Without regular physical connection, your muscles begin to weaken, your joints grow stiffer, your overall mobility begins to decline, not in one dramatic moment, but slowly, subtly, like a dimming light. It's the kind of physical erosion that creeps up on you. One day you're getting out of bed with ease, and the next you're reaching for support just to stand. And here's something most people don't realize: your confidence, the belief that your body can still do things, often comes from movement. Real movement. And that includes the kind that happens in the bedroom. When you lose that form of expression, your life becomes more sedentary. You move less. You feel less capable. you become more prone to injury, and the cycle continues. So if you want to stay strong, stable, and physically capable as you age, don't overlook the intimate movement you share with a partner. It's not just pleasurable, it's a form of maintenance your body craves. 3. Your brain takes a hit. Here's one you probably didn't expect your brain. The very core of your identity, memory and emotions benefits immensely from physical intimacy. It's true. During sexual activity, your brain releases a powerful cocktail of neurochemicals, dopamine, oxytocin, serotonin, and endorphins. These aren't just mood enhancers, they're memory boosters, stress reducers, and cognitive protectors. In fact, regular sexual activity has been linked to improved cognitive function, sharper recall, and reduced risk of cognitive decline. Think of it as a workout for your brain. Emotional intimacy stimulates neural pathways. It lights up the parts of your mind responsible for connection, memory, and emotional regulation. When intimacy disappears, so do those beneficial chemicals. Over time, this can lead to higher levels of anxiety, emotional numbness, and even early signs of cognitive decline. Your brain, like a muscle, needs regular stimulation to stay strong. And sex, believe it or not, is one of the most enjoyable and effective forms of stimulation you can give it. Neglecting this part of your life doesn't just make you feel lonely, it makes your mind quieter, duller, less resilient. But there's something even deeper at stake here, something beyond memory or clarity, your emotional bond with your partner. And when that begins to erode, the consequences ripple through every part of your well-being. 4. Emotional intimacy begins to fade as we age. Emotional connection becomes more essential, not less. And yet, without the anchor of physical intimacy, many couples find that emotional closeness begins to quietly unravel. Sex is not just a physical act, it's a language of affection, trust, vulnerability, and presence. It's the nonverbal way we say, I see you, I choose you, you still matter to me. When that expression disappears, something profound happens. Conversations become shorter, touch becomes rare. Partners start to feel more like polite roommates than romantic companions. The warmth fades. The spark that once lit up the room dims slowly until both partners feel emotionally adrift together, but miles apart. It's not that love is gone, it's that the rituals of love have been neglected. And for many, reclaiming emotional intimacy begins with reclaiming physical closeness. When you stop showing affection, you stop being reminded that you're worthy of it, that you are still attractive, still desired, still deeply lovable. The erosion of emotional intimacy is subtle but devastating. And the antidote? Often it begins with a simple touch, a shared moment, a return to the sacredness of physical connection. What you've just heard may be surprising, even a little confronting, but it's also empowering because the truth is this: you have the power to reclaim vitality, joy, and connection, starting right now. In the next section, we'll explore even more ways that giving up intimacy may be silently holding you back from the health and happiness you deserve. So stay with me, because what comes next might just change how you view aging, intimacy, and yourself. Certainly below is the rewritten version of page 2, keeping all the original ideas intact, but enhancing the flow length approximately 20% longer, emotional pull, punctuation, and storytelling quality as requested. As we explored earlier, losing intimacy isn't just about physical disconnection. It can unravel the emotional fabric that once made you feel truly seen, wanted, and deeply loved. Now let's go deeper into how this silent absence can affect nearly every part of your life, starting with something that so many seniors struggle with: loneliness. Loneliness within togetherness. For many older adults, the absence of intimacy doesn't just create distance, it carves out a quiet kind of loneliness, even in the heart of a committed relationship. You may sleep in the same bed, share meals, watch the same shows, but the closeness, the warmth that once made you feel cherished, begins to fade. And when that physical bond disappears, a gap slowly opens up, often without either partner realize just how wide it's become. But this isn't just about feelings. Loneliness, though invisible, carries very real health consequences. It's been strongly linked to depression, increased blood pressure, and a weakened immune system. The emotional pain becomes physical, echoing throughout the body in ways that science now clearly understands. What keeps emotional intimacy alive? It's the little things like a lingering touch, a loving glance, the simple act of reaching for your partner's hand without a word. And yes, sexual connection is one of the most powerful ways to keep that emotional bridge strong and intact. When intimacy fades, so does one of the deepest anchors of connection. And for many couples, they don't realize just how much they've drifted apart until they already feel like strangers in the same home. But what if restoring intimacy could do more than reconnect hearts? What if it could also help you sleep more deeply and peacefully than you have in years? 5. Sleep becomes a struggle. As we age, sleep often becomes one of life's daily battles. You may lie in bed for hours tossing, turning your mind, running in circles. Or you may fall asleep only to wake up at 3 a.m. staring into the dark with a restless heart. But few realize that one of the most natural sleep aids may be something far more pleasurable than a pill intimacy. After sexual release, your body produces prolactin, a hormone that promotes relaxation and signals your body. It's time to rest. At the same time, oxytocin, the so-called cuddle hormone, is released, reducing stress and quieting anxiety, two of the biggest culprits behind insomnia. Yet many older adults treat poor sleep with medications, unaware that the most calming solution might lie in the arms of their partner. When physical intimacy disappears, so too do these helpful hormones, leaving the body tense, the mind restless, and sleep shallow or broken. Have you found yourself waking up exhausted despite spending 8 hours in bed, feeling wired at night, unable to shut your thoughts off? It's possible that what's missing isn't just a better mattress or less caffeine, but the soothing biological rhythm of closeness. And this isn't just about rest. Restorative sleep is the foundation of memory, energy, mood stability, and long-term health. The loss of intimacy can quietly undermine not just your bedtime routine, but your entire ability to recharge mentally and physically. But there's something even more personal at stake, something that affects how you see yourself when you look in the mirror. 6. Self-esteem and confidence decline. Yin can change the way we view ourselves, but few things chip away at self-confidence more subtly than the loss of physical intimacy. When you're no longer touched, kissed, desired, or seen through the lens of affection, it's easy to start feeling invisible. Over time, many seniors begin to believe a damaging myth that their best days are behind them, that being attractive, wanted, or sexually vibrant is something reserved for the young. But that belief, it's not truth, it's erosion. Physical intimacy, even when it's soft and infrequent, sends powerful emotional signals. It tells you that you are still worthy, still capable of love, still desirable. Without those affirmations, doubt begins to sneak in. You may start to avoid mirrors, shy away from physical contact, or even pull back emotionally, not because you've stopped caring, but because deep down you no longer feel desirable. But here's the secret: reclaiming intimacy can reignite confidence in ways that ripple through every corner of your life. It can change how you stand, how you smile, how you walk into a room. It reminds you that your body isn't fading, it's still capable of joy, connection, and vitality. Still, low self-esteem is just one layer. The next impact of lost intimacy strikes your physical health at its very core, your immune system. 7. Your immune system weakens. When people think about strengthening their immune system, they usually think of supplements, exercise, or good hygiene. But very few realize that regular sexual activity can actually help protect your body from illness, especially as you age. Studies have shown that seniors who maintain an active sex life tend to have higher levels of immunoglobulin AIGA, a powerful antibody that helps defend your body from colds, infections, and other viruses. Sex also helps balance hormone levels, reduce inflammation, and support overall cellular health, giving your body the boost it needs to stay strong from the inside out. But when intimacy fades, so do the neurological and hormonal signals that keep the immune system alert and responsive. The result: you may start catching more colds than usual, feeling run down more often, healing slower from minor illnesses or injuries. And it doesn't happen overnight. It's a quiet decline that creeps in without warning. So while sex might not seem like medicine, it's actually one of the most enjoyable forms of preventive health nature has to offer. And yet the impact of lost intimacy doesn't stop here. There's one more invisible burden it adds to your life, and that's the rising tide of stress and anxiety. 8. Stress and anxiety increase. As we grow older, the pressures of life don't necessarily vanish. They just change shape. Concerns about health, finances, family, or even mortality begin to weigh heavier. And when intimacy disappears, so does one of the body's most powerful natural stress relievers: During sex, your body releases a trio of calming chemicals, dopamine, serotonin, and oxytocin, that act as emotional balancers. These hormones reduce anxiety, soothe the nervous system, and create a deep feeling of connection and safety. It's nature's version of a mood stabilizer, and when it's gone, the effects are noticeable. More irritability, restlessness, tension in the shoulders, even unexplained headaches. Without intimacy, the body loses this built-in coping mechanism. And over time, stress accumulates like unwashed dishes in the sink, slowly piling up until even the smallest tasks feel overwhelming. You may not notice the connection at first, but anxiety, poor sleep, mood swings, and physical discomfort often share one hidden root: a lack of emotional and physical connection. The absence of intimacy doesn't just create a gap between you and your partner. It creates a void in how your mind and body regulate daily challenges. But if you think that's where it ends, think again. What you'll discover next might completely change the way you think about intimacy and its role in preserving brain health, memory, and focus as you age. As we just explored, the absence of intimacy isn't just a personal issue. It affects your mood, sleep, confidence, and even your physical health. But perhaps one of the quietest and most painful consequences of all is what happens to your relationship itself. Relationships become more fragile. When intimacy quietly slips away, it doesn't always make a loud exit. There's no dramatic collapse. Instead, it's more like a slow erosion, barely noticeable at first, until one day the relationship no longer feels like home. One of the most overlooked impacts of lost intimacy is how it slowly reshapes the relationship dynamic between partners. You may still care deeply for each other, still share meals, routines, and conversation. But when physical connection fades, it's not long before emotional distance begins to take its place. Couples who once laughed easily, touched often, and shared quiet moments of closeness can begin to feel like roommates together but disconnected. And here's the thing, it's not because they've stopped loving each other, it's because they've stopped expressing that love in ways that matter most. Sexual intimacy is not just about physical pleasure. It's a language, a way of saying, I see you, I choose you, I still want you. It builds trust. It invites vulnerability. It strengthens emotional bonding in ways that simple words sometimes can't. Without it, even the most solid relationships can begin to feel hollow or distant. The laughter, the playfulness, those spontaneous touches that used to bring lightness, all of it slowly disappears, replaced by silence or routine. Communication may suffer, misunderstandings may grow, and both partners can begin to feel unwanted or emotionally neglected, even if the love itself hasn't gone anywhere. Intimacy is the invisible thread that weaves connection into daily life. And as the years pass, that thread becomes more precious, not less. Letting go of physical intimacy doesn't just affect your body, it reshapes the way you relate to each other. It alters the emotional tone of the relationship, and if left unaddressed, can make even a long committed bond feel emotionally distant. But there's another consequence, one that hits even closer to home. What happens when your own body starts to forget how to respond to intimacy at all? The body forgets, use it or lose it. As difficult as it might be to admit, the human body is a responsive instrument. It thrives on use, movement, and activation. And just like muscles weaken when we stop exercising, sexual function also begins to fade when it's no longer engaged. For men, this might show up as weaker erections, slower arousal, or less sensitivity. For women, it could mean increased vaginal dryness, physical discomfort, and a gradual loss of natural elasticity. These changes don't happen overnight. They creep in gradually, quietly, until one day physical intimacy feels more difficult than delightful, more stressful than satisfying. And so begins a subtle cycle. Discomfort leads to avoidance, and avoidance leads to further decline. But here's a gentle truth your body is trying to whisper: stay engaged and I'll keep responding. Remaining sexually active, even in gentle or affectionate ways, helps the body maintain its ability to function. It keeps blood flowing, tissues healthy, and the nervous system responsive. The body needs reminders. Without them, it begins to forget what it once knew so easily. Ignoring this need might seem harmless, especially if physical changes or emotional fears make intimacy feel complicated. But over time, disuse can make regaining comfort and confidence even more difficult. The good news: you don't need to start with grand gestures. Even small, consistent acts of closeness can help your body remember its natural rhythm and capability. Still, the physical side is only half the equation. Your mindset, how you think and feel about intimacy, plays just as powerful a role in your sexual well-being. And that brings us to one of the most surprising truths of all. What if the most important sexual organ isn't what you think? What you can do, here's the empowering part. No matter your age and no matter how long it's been, intimacy can be reclaimed, and it can start as early as today. The very first step, talk. Open, honest, heartfelt communication with your partner is the cornerstone. Talk about how you feel, what you miss, what you hope to rebuild together. Vulnerability isn't weakness, it's the gateway to real reconnection. If you're experiencing physical challenges like low libido dryness or erectile issues, don't suffer in silence. Speak with a trusted doctor. There are effective, often simple solutions, both natural and medical, that can support your journey. You don't have to navigate this alone. Next, start small. Don't underestimate the power of physical touch. A hug that lingers, a hand resting on a shoulder, holding hands during a walk. These gestures matter. They build emotional bridges and often lead to deeper connection naturally and without pressure. And if you're single, don't think intimacy is out of reach. This is the perfect time to reconnect with yourself. Explore your own needs, your comfort zones, and your desires. Knowing and honoring your body is a powerful one to stay in tune mentally, emotionally, and physically. Above all, stay open, stay curious, try new things. Approach intimacy not with fear, but with patience and with permission to enjoy. You have not aged out of desire. You've simply been waiting for the right moment to rediscover it. And that moment, it's right now. Reconnection doesn't demand perfection. It only asks for your willingness to reach out, to begin again, and to meet your partner or yourself with tenderness. One touch, one conversation, one shared moment at a time.